なんてことだ。そんなものがこの世にあっちゃならん。
Witch Hat Atelier is an anime I don't know how to pronounce. It's also an anime airing in the stacked season of spring 2026 and is definitely not pulling its punches against these massive sequels that are currently coming out right now. Re:Zero, Slime, Classroom of the Elite, and of course the anime that stands far ahead of the competition, Rent-a-Girlfriend Season 5. Witch Hat is letting the world know that it is an anime you don't want to miss, and for good reason. It's got stunning animation, a beautiful looking world, likable characters, and above all else, a fantasy that's not an isekai. We've hit the gold mine, lads. No more begging for change on the side of the road. This anime has been on my radar for a while. It was one of my most anticipated series to come out this year simply because of how many good things I've heard about it. People even comparing it to the likes of Frieren, and for a show with an insane reputation, those words cannot be said lightly. So does it live up to these expectations? Does it truly deserve the title as one of the big three of fantasy and anime? Well, let's find out. The anime follows our protagonist Coco in her journey into becoming a witch. In this world, witches are a mystery to the average person. Being able to cast magic is something you're born with, so for someone like Coco who's been working with her mum as a tailor's apprentice, something like being able to create a spell is completely outside of the realm of possibilities. Even the way in which magic is used is a mystery, but that doesn't stop Coco from being infatuated with it. The very concept of magic is something that Coco has loved since a very young age, and the thought of being a witch is a dream that'll never happen no matter how hard she tries. When she was younger, she came across this suspicious looking man from the clan in a secluded area and bought this picture book from him. Clearly, Coco was never taught that talking to, being alone with, and taking something from a stranger is not the wisest thing a child of her age could do. But anyways, one day Coco comes across a witch, Kifuri, who visits their store and has a golden opportunity to secretly spy on this witch using magic. And that's when the truth is uncovered, that what we had been led to believe was actually completely false. Who would have thought that a trusted organization would turn out to be lying out of their ass? It turns out that the secret behind using magic has nothing to do with being born with it. It's something that's drawn. With this newfound knowledge, Coco finally understands what that clan-looking person meant all those years ago. The picture book had these similar markings to them. It's not just a picture book, it's actually a magic book. So of course Coco starts drawing, and just like that, she creates her first magic circle. And with attempt after attempt exploring this new world, Coco makes a fatal mistake. With no idea what will come from these spells that she's making, she decides to trace over a very complex looking spell, completely crystallizing her home and mother in the process. Yeah, who would have thought that playing with this unknown thing you've just discovered could go so horribly wrong? I mean, to be fair, she's living out her dream for the very first time, so I can't kinda, somewhat, maybe, possibly blame her for this. Luckily, before she could become Kaz from JoJo's Part 2, she's saved by Kifuri, and we find out that Coco actually did a taboo in this magic world and used forbidden magic, which is punishable by memory loss. However, Kifuri realizes that if he erases her memories now, then the show wouldn't even start. It'd go from Witch Hat Atelier to motherless tailor's apprentice. Now the goal has been set, for Coco to become a witch and save her mother from her careless mistake while also finding and dismantling the clan that caused this tragedy and are probably causing more suffering around the world. Well, they're actually called the Brimmed Cap Group, but come on. These motherfuckers look like they chant around a fire for no good reason. I feel like the first episode does a great job of setting the tone for the series. It's pretty lighthearted and magical, pun intended, but it can just as easily switch up and become extremely intense. And as someone who went into this series completely blind, it was definitely shocking. It did an amazing job at showing how wonderful and useful magic is in this world, while also showing us how dangerous it could be if used in the wrong way. And as any good first episode, it set up important goals that will get focused on in later episodes, while showing us a very likable character that we'll be following for the rest of the series. Coco was so radiant. Watching her express her love for magic was so endearing, it almost makes you want to start whipping out spells. Sure, she turned her mother to stone, but who gives a fuck? No one even remembers her name. Oh, she wasn't given a name? Huh. Anyways, as I was saying, watching this show and getting to see Coco practice this art she's dreamed of her whole life is such a highlight of this first season. I've always been a sucker for anime where the protagonist is put into this world out of their depth and has to struggle their way through it. It's very much shonen coded, and watching her slowly progress from a novice who struggled to even draw a proper circle and see her slowly through hard work get better and better is really nice to watch. A great example of this is when she's taking the Dad-R range test, where she has to take this herb using only her knowledge. And for someone like Coco who's just been introduced into this world, the challenge is something completely out of her depth. Watching her internal struggle as she doubts whether or not she's capable of becoming a witch, and as the trial continues, it just seems impossible. But through some reflection on her life, she realizes that she has what it takes. Coco's been making magic for her whole life, and it's the skills she learned from her Medusified mother that'll end up carrying her far into this new world. And the triumph of passing the Dad R range test was cool as shit, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm being honest, when you have a highly anticipated anime that only gets 12 episodes, it's pretty difficult to sell people on the hype. The beginning of the story is introducing us to the world, learning it and understanding it. We're introduced to many different important characters that with time we'll grow to love, but as of right now, we're just getting to know them. The story in the beginning would be setting up future conflicts that won't come into fruition until later on. Basically what I'm saying is there's not a whole lot you can do with 12 episodes when making a series that'll be around for a long time. Most of the time the expectations are way too high to begin with, but from what I've seen online, everyone seems to be loving it. The potential for this anime is off the charts. And I'm not just talking visuals, yeah, the anime is stunning. I mean, look at Kifuri diffing a dragon with just water. Fuck, the water magician could never. Does anyone remember this anime? It was supposed to be the next Frieren? No? Just me? Whatever happened to that anime anyways? Oh, they blew 99% of their budget on the opening. Wait, what the hell was I talking about again? Oh yeah, the potential of the anime. Look, you can have your opinions on it, both positive and negative, but you can't look me dead in the eyes with a straight face with your pants zipped up and say that the power system in this show is bad. That's like saying the sky isn't blue, or a Blue Lock fan knows what a hat trick is. It just doesn't make any sense. The power system in this anime is insane. It's such a unique take on magic and so versatile you can do pretty much anything you want with it as long as you're good enough to make it. It completely shatters the concept of talent as everyone is in the same boat. There's no being born with more magical capacity than others, no influence from family bloodlines. You're all given the same ink and paper, and now it's your knowledge and experience that'll decide how good you are. So to break it down, to create basic magic, you need this special conjuring ink and something to draw on. It could be a piece of paper, your birth certificate, anything. Even the human body, though that's taboo and would probably lead to you getting your memories wiped. Though for anyone watching Rent a Girlfriend, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. But anyways, to make a spell, it's composed of 3 key elements. A sigil, which is at the center of your spell that decides what type of element is going to be used. The main 5 sigils used are fire, water, earth, wind, and light. There are other sigils that can be used, but those are usually for very specific spells. Most of the time when creating a spell, you'd use one of the 5 sigils. The next is signs or keystones. They're drawn around the sigil and serve what type of form the spell takes. Basically, do you want a spell that shoots from all directions or a singular direction? Do you want it to just float in the air, or do you want it to launch you into the air? It's completely up to you what sign you want to use. There are many different signs ranging from columns which decide the direction your spell goes, to levitation which naturally, as you can guess, makes your spell float in the air. And finally, the last component is the ring. It's the final step as you enclose your spell in a circle, and once fully drawn, the spell is cast. The reason spells are so versatile is because not all are cast the same way. Some spells could use the same sigils and signs, but if you slightly alter the sign's length, it could completely change the effects of the spell. Even the quality of the drawing matters. If it's all wonky, it makes the magic unstable compared to something that's drawn perfectly, which would make the magic more stable. The first time I saw magic being drawn in the show in episode 1, I was a bit skeptical because of how different it is to normal magic in other media. I wondered if such a concept would be executed well, seeing as drawing takes more time compared to chanting. But the way they implemented magic in this world and how it's used by witches across the show instantly sold me. Just from looking into the magic, you can tell how much time went into crafting such a detailed system that you can create practically anything with. The magic system in this show oozes with creativity, and as the show goes on and we learn more about how magic works, the more complex and incredible spells we could see. From looking into the magic system, I could see that there is more to it, whether it comes to advanced types of magic and of course forbidden magic. And I mean, that's a given. With how limited we are in our understanding, if you've only seen the anime, you can physically see how complex magic could be, and as time goes on and the more we learn about it, it could potentially be one of the greatest power systems to come to this medium. It's such an amazing and versatile concept that people have been creating their own spells that would work in the world. Someone created a bloody air fryer just from using their knowledge of the magic system. Even spells that could wipe out entire countries, the possibilities are endless. While the magic is the most interesting part of the series so far, that's not the only thing it has going for it. The plot is really solid, and as the show goes on, we can see there are some seeds being planted that'll definitely lead to insane conflicts in the future. As I said earlier, Coco is very fun to watch, but characters such as Kifuri and Agot are pretty good as well. I've heard from some people that they don't like Agot, which I can see why, but personally, I feel like a lot of her actions are justified. Most of her dickhead energy comes from a pretty realistic place. Imagine working your ass off to get to a certain point and this random who turned her mother to stone suddenly gets put on the same level as you. You'd definitely feel annoyed by that. And I mean, sure, she basically did the equivalent of forcing a child into a plane and telling them to land it safely. Of course, as we started learning more about her, the more it makes sense why she acts the way she does. She has mommy issues. Aside from that, we haven't gotten a whole lot from everyone else. I mean, yeah, I've seen Kifuri diff a dragon with Cloudwater, but aside from that, I don't know too much about him aside from the fact he hates the clan.
誰にも言わないで。誰にも。
Bro stopped the OST and everything. And the other two apprentices are kinda just there right now. We really don't know much about them aside from a few quirks. Oh, and the new guy as well. How could I forget? He seems chill. Again, there's only so much you can do in 12 episodes, so it's not surprising that not everyone gets a lot of focus because it's only the beginning of the story. I'm sure they'll get more time to shine later on. So the question is, does this anime deserve to be a part of the big three in terms of fantasy? I mean, it doesn't have a whole lot of competition, but as of right now, it could be, depending on where the series goes from here. If we're talking in terms of animation, then I'd say it stacks up really well against shows like Frieren. As of right now, I'd say it has a lot going for it. It's got an amazing and unique power system, it's got a bunch of likable characters, and it seems like it will be getting very intense later on. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like, and subscribing would mean a lot. The show did a really good job of hooking me into this world, and I can't wait to see what else it has to offer. But with that being said, rip Coco's mother.